All righty. So let's talk about that first half. Welcome. This is Jared Morris here for the IU Hoops halftime report, trying to get that set up. All right. So Hoosiers lead by 12 at halftime. It's 38-26. I think certainly more good than bad there in the first half for the Hoosiers. I thought Indiana really came out playing with a lot of purpose on defense, and that was nice to see. It was the kind of purpose, the kind of effort that if they had played like that against Fort Wayne, Indiana might win that game. And it really wasn't surprising, when you heard Archie's statements to Don Fisher before the game. It sounds like these last few days of practice were not pleasant at all for anybody. I think Archie even said that this was the most disappointing loss of his career, that Fort Wayne loss. And so I think he really talked about how much he wanted the guys to compete and how hard those practices were to try and get him ready for this game. And Andy Katz mentioned on the broadcast just how intense the shoot-around was. So clearly Archie was not satisfied and made that known, and made it known that that was going to be that wasn't the standard Indiana basketball was going to play up to under him. And to his credit, and I mean, I think we can all breathe a sigh of relief. At least for 20 minutes, the guys responded, because I think if you do all of that and the guys come out flat, I don't know where you go from there as a coach. So I think that is a good sign. Again, we know that maybe any grand visions that we had of big things that this team could do, those seem highly unlikely right now. So you're looking for progress. You're looking for incremental progress. And certainly that Fort Wayne game was a step back. And I think this first half was a step forward. Now, obviously, they need to do it for 20 more minutes. And this Tennessee Tech team, they can shoot the ball. Now, they're not shooting very well tonight, obviously, only 2 for 8 from downtown. So if they shoot closer to their averages, they'll do a lot better. But the fact that Indiana only gave up 8 3-point attempts is really encouraging. And that was in part because of the defense that the guards played. I thought Robert Johnson in particular played really, really hard on defense, was active, helped to force some turnovers and really made life difficult on Tennessee Tech's guards. And that was one of Archie's other keys coming into the game. He talked about how the guards have to be better defensively. We have to guard dribblers better. We can't, just let them go wherever they want to go. And for the most part, outside of a little stretch there in the first half when Tennessee Tech made their little run, I think it was after the 8-minute timeout, and Tennessee Tech was getting into the lane a little bit easier. Outside of that, Indiana played pretty well defensively, so that was nice to see. I thought, the Deron Davis injury, obviously disappointing for a number of reasons, especially tonight, because he's got a real advantage down low against Tennessee Tech, and I loved seeing him try to dunk that ball the first time he got his hands on it. That's something we don't see from him very often. He has great footwork, he has great touch, but we don't often see him try to overpower teams. And a game like tonight, I think Tennessee Tech's tallest guy is 6'7". Deron's got, while he may not be a great quick leaper, he's got a big size and strength advantage. And it looked like he was really going to try and take advantage of that. Unfortunately, he gets hurt. And so probably the biggest individual advantage we have in this game, we're no longer going to have. So we're going to have to find ways to still play through the paint. I think Juwan Morgan is going to have to demand the ball. Guys are going to have to get him the ball. He was in position one time, and Devontae Green made a really poor attempt at an entry pass that ends up going out of bounds. So that needs to be better. We've got to get him the ball inside. Kudos to Freddie McSwain Jr., who I thought really played well. And what was notable about it is he did not start out the game well. So he comes in, when he first comes in, he takes a 15-foot jump shot, which is obviously ill-advised. I mean, there's no reason for him to take a shot like that. And then he doesn't hustle back on defense in transition, and Archie immediately takes him out. So, some of the guys came to play. Freddie, it looked like it took him a little time to get going, but when he came back into the game was much better. Now, he had a couple of defensive breakdowns, but I thought offensively he provided a nice spark, and especially there was one play. Let me check my notes here to see exactly when this play happened. But it was, Tech had gone on that 5-0 run. They had kind of inched closer. It was 29-24. And Freddie did a really nice job of grabbing an offensive rebound after Devontae Green had that little floater, probably an ill-advised shot by Devontae. Freddie got the offensive board. It goes around the horn, ends up as a Robert Johnson three-pointer. That put us up 8 and really seemed to kind of put us back in control. And then we would end the half, obviously, extending the lead a little bit. But that was a big play that Freddie had. He had another offensive rebound later where he scored. Obviously, he had the follow-up dunk. So Freddie McSwain finally getting back to doing Freddie McSwain things. And look, you kind of felt like if Deron Davis had played those 7 minutes, he might have gotten 4 points and a few boards. So for Freddie to come in and basically give you the offensive production that you lost when Deron went out of the game, that was nice to see. Let's see, Zach McRoberts, I believe he ended up leading the team in plus minus for the first half, but let me double check that so I'm not saying something that's not accurate. He didn't actually. He finished at 8. We had a bunch of guys right around 10-9. He was leading for a while. And I know, he's only 1 for 5. He's clearly looking for a shot more. And I think a couple of those threes were pretty good looks. I don't know if he should be taking that kind of volume, but I think the fact that he's looking for his shot helps because I think he does a lot of good things out there. He needs to be a threat. And you did see him, because he had taken those threes, he got overplayed on the one play and he drove into the lane, ended up getting fouled. So, he's got to become an offensive threat. But I thought Andy Bottoms had a good tweet that, Indiana doing such a nice job from 2-point range. And in this game, Indiana shooting 52% from 2-point range. That's actually lower than their season average. Only 25% from 3-point range. The problem is, though, we're taking 34% of our shots from 3-point range. So that went down. At one point in the first half, we were taking 40% of our shots from 3, and we're just not a good enough shooting team to do that. We've really got to try and play through the paint. And so I think in the second half, without Deron Davis in there, number one, we've got to find opportunities in transition because the team, and Archie talked about this in the pregame, we've got to really push the ball, play with pace and transition, try and get out and get some of those easy buckets before the offense can kind of bog down in the half court, and we're just better at it. And especially without Deron in there to kind of anchor us down low in the half court, we're going to struggle, even against a team like Tennessee Tech offensively. So got to get out in transition. But when we are in the half court, I think we've really, whether it's kind of run plays or whatever we have to do, we've got to play through Juwan Morgan down low. And he has 7 points, 3 for 5 from the field, but I thought he could have been involved even more on the offensive end. And so I think we've got to get the ball into him. Devontae Green had kind of a Devontae Green half, but I thought defensively he was much better tonight. And so overall, I think those first 20 minutes were pretty solid. Josh Newkirk came out, 4 points, had 4 assists. He was pretty active. I thought his defense was poor early, but I thought he played better coming out, once he came back into the game. And I thought Robert Johnson in particular, he leads the team in scoring with 8. I thought he really set the tone by just playing really, really hard. I mean, his on-ball defense was extended. He was getting into passing lanes. He was forcing turnovers. And that was probably the most impressive statistic of the first half for Indiana. They forced turnovers on 23% of Tennessee Tech's possessions. At one point, that was up in the 30s. So Tennessee Tech, kind of got their turnovers under control there a little bit later in the half. And, Indiana's activity on defense was probably a little bit less as the half wore on. So hopefully they can get back to that in the second half. But I think the keys to the second half, I think Indiana's got to find a way to play through the paint without Deron Davis in there. So whether that's getting second chance buckets on offensive rebounds or getting some post-up opportunities for Juwan Morgan or more the give-and-go type action like we saw with Juwan and Zach McRoberts. Throw a pass, cut to the basket. Indiana has to try to create opportunities in the paint. We obviously don't have guards that are great at getting in there and doing positive things with it a lot of times, especially in the half court. So we're going to have to manufacture opportunities, but I would much rather see us be patient and committed to doing that than just jacking up threes early in the shot clock. So hopefully we can do that. And then obviously on the other end, it's just a matter of continuing to play with the same great effort. We know that this Indiana team is continuing to learn a new system, trying to get rid of some bad habits, that they've had. And one way that you can help compensate for, an error here or being maybe a step slow mentally here just because you're still trying to recognize things and it's not instinctive, is just play really hard. And that can help you make up for some stuff. And I thought Indiana did that. So hopefully they come out, show that same kind of grit and effort in the second half. If so, then they should control this game for the entire 20 minutes. And that's important. This Tennessee Tech team is experienced. They can make threes. Don't give them an inch of sunlight. Go out there and really assert yourself, win this first 4 minutes, and let Tennessee Tech know that they're not coming in here and getting this win. If that happens, then I think the Hoosiers will be in good shape. Join us on the post-game show. I'll be here with Andy. I think we're going to have Zach McCright on with us too. So that'll be fun, obviously at assemblycall.com or right here on our YouTube channel. I appreciate y'all being here with me for the halftime report, and we'll talk to you on the post-game show. See y'all then.